Hey there, today what I'm going to do is show you how to create a skin laceration using nose and scar wax. Again, I think I've said in other videos, nose and scar wax, not the most practical thing to create something out of and wear to a fancy dress party or a Halloween party, but I still think there are advantages to playing with this stuff in your own time at home, which is what I do a lot of. You're still improving your sculpting skills. You're still getting a better feel for nose and scar wax, so seeing how far you can push it and where it breaks and things like that, so getting a better handle of it. You're still improving your skin coloring, so once you've applied the wax, how to match the wax color to your actual skin color. And then obviously things like blood application as well, so applying blood and making it look as realistic as you can. So I will go ahead and show you this now, a skin laceration using nose and scar wax. Enjoy. So what you'll need to create this skin laceration is some nose and scar wax. Brand doesn't particularly matter, but nose and scar wax. Some petroleum jelly for smoothing the wax out once you've put it down on your skin. You'll need some Pros-Aide, or you could also use spirit gum if you've got spirit gum at home, but this is to stick the wax down, and also some cotton buds, so you can use these to apply the glue and then just throw them away at the end without ruining your brushes. You'll need a mixture of stipple sponges. These are just sort of two different grades of sponge of different textures to create texture on the wax once you've applied it. You'll need fake blood or fake blood of your choice. So I use Mold Life Kensington Gore aged blood and a couple of drops of dishwashing detergent to sort of help disperse the blood and make it look more natural. I'll be colouring the wound with two different palettes today. I've got the Premier Product Skin Illustrator palettes. This is the Flesh Tone palette. And I'll also be using the European Body Art palette as well. This is their Blood Tones palette, so we'll be using those today. To apply those, you'll also need isopropyl alcohol, or 99.9% alcohol, as it's also known. Some brushes. This is the Bedalion Tools Special Effects brush set. So this is just a mixture of brushes here. There's actually two of these sets available now as well. So these are my kind of go-to brushes now for special effects applications. You can use whatever brushes you've got available at home. Just a mixture of sculpting tools. So I've got some nail art tools and I've got some dental tools and things like that I've collected online. You can also use anything you've got laying around at home. You could use the opposite end of a paintbrush or a skewer or a toothpick or something like that. What you'll need to do first is get a bit of petroleum jelly in the area that you want to kind of create the wound. So what I might do is just sort of stick it on the side of my finger here. So anywhere that you want the sort of fake skin to move, or we'll call it fake skin, but it's going to be made out of wax. Anywhere you want the fake skin to move, you want to put down a kind of reasonably thickish layer of petroleum jelly. I've got, I don't know if you can see that, just a bit there. It's probably about the size of maybe, I don't know, an Australian 10-cent piece, which is probably about just under an inch or so. And then surrounding that area, you want to get the adhesive. So I'm just going to use Pros-Aide. You could use spirit gum if you want to. And surround that area of petroleum jelly that you've just put down with some adhesive. So the good thing about this is Pros-Aide adhesive is water-based. So you can actually see where the petroleum jelly stops if you sort of dab up quite close to it. The two don't cross-contaminate, so the petroleum jelly will actually stop the Pros-Aide from adhering in that area. But once the Pros-Aide goes clear, what you want to do is get a sort of reasonable chunk of nose and scar wax So what I'll do is just stick the scar wax down now and start sort of pressing it out. And it should adhere itself to the Pros-Aide pretty, easily. And just like any other scar using nose and scar wax, what you want to now do is just, dip your fingers in petroleum jelly and sort of smooth that wax out as much as you can, to make it look like it's sort of blended back into your real skin. So what I've done there is just, covered up that area of petroleum jelly. I don't sort of worry too much about the back for things like this. Obviously I'm just sort of showing you the technique. So, I'm reasonably happy with that now. What I might do is get the stipple sponge and then go back in and add a little bit of texture into that area. And then also by doing this, I'm getting rid of the shine that I've kind of created by using petroleum jelly on top of the wax. And then if you want to, you can also go back in with this tool here and then sort of redraw in some of the folds and creases in your palm that you may have taken away by applying the wax. Don't apply too much pressure because you'll actually cut into it. So I would recommend not holding the tool right at the tip, but rather holding it right at the very end and then just letting it fall on top of the wax and kind of lightly draining it back over the top. So once that's done, what you want to do now is kind of create the incision. So what I want to do with this particular laceration is create a kind of entry point in the skin somewhere. So, somewhere where the skin has been physically cut through. That could either be a singular line, it could be a V shape or something like that. For this particular wound, I think I might create a V shape to make it look like I've knocked myself on the corner of something really sharp. So what you want to do here is sort of like cut into the wax, and you can also grab the petroleum jelly at this point too and sort of dip the tools in to make sure that they don't stick too much to the wax, but go in there and actually sort of create the the wound shape. So what I do now, once I've created my kind of entry wound thing, is grab the spatula tool or something slightly wider. You can use either end of this tool. Is grab this and then sort of dip it into the petroleum jelly again so it doesn't stick to the wax, and then sort of stick it into the corner of the wound or incision you've just created and kind of force that wax backwards. And what you'll notice is it can sort of fold back onto itself now because you've created that or you've put down that layer of petroleum jelly underneath the wound. The wax itself you can lift up quite easily. You can sort of like push it so it wrinkles and folds backwards and things like that. So I'm just going to create a bit of a kind of random shape here. So, now I've created something that looks like quite severe. This could almost be a bullet exit wound or something like that if you wanted it to be too. So what I normally do now is go in there and sort of, with a dry brush with reasonably soft bristles, is just go in there and sort of clean up some of the, like I like to call them jaggies, or the sort of jagged edges of the scar wax. So once that's done, I might go back in and sort of dab over it lightly again with a stipple sponge. I might just do a light wash of Skin Illustrator to try and blend it back to my own skin. So when you're sort of reasonably happy with the color now, I would go back in with sort of slightly darker pinks and reds and sort of paint back some of the kind of interior colors inside the wound as well. So I'm just putting some put some pink back into here, and skin can actually be quite thick in some areas of the body too, so don't forget about these sort of the side edges of these skin folds as well. So that's it there at the moment. So like I said before, you can leave it like this generally with hands anyway, especially, I mean, the fingers in particular, fingers actually don't sort of have much in them apart from some fat and some tendon. There are actually no muscles in this part of the hand. So, you know, generally the texture that you see inside here, if you were to make this, you know, if this sort of accident was to happen to you in real life, you'd most likely see sort of like fatty tissues and things like that. So if you wanted to, you could paint some of those colors back in, or you could sort of try and replicate fatty tissue inside the wound if you wanted to. And what I might do just to sort of help the wound look a little bit darker is use some of these blood tones. So I've just got like a prime black color here that I might go and sort of put into the corners and edges of this particular wound, and I can add a little bit of aged blood to that as well. So once I've done that, I would most likely go in now and just apply the blood. So again, you know, get a kind of reasonable amount out, so you've got a bit to play with. Add a couple of drops of dishwashing liquid to that, and then swish that around. Just get sort of a brush and dip it into a little bit of water, and then, you know, load up the wound with water, and, you know, watch the blood kind of run from there as well. Generally with you know, traumas that have happened more recently, there's not that much blood that runs out of them. It's sort of, you know, the longer you wait, the more you bleed kind of thing. So just go back in and, you know, use your fingers as well. The inside of the wound, you know, looks quite red and nasty now. This, you know, this doesn't look too real because I've just left my real skin inside here. I didn't want to go into too much detail because it's more about the surrounding area for now. But I would probably, if I was doing this, probably go back in and, you know, like I said, create some texture in here too. So that's it. That is my laceration using nose and scar wax. So as you can see, you know, it sort of blends back into my skin quite nicely. You know, we've been able to kind of manipulate it in a way that it looks like some skin is kind of folded back onto itself. Thanks for watching.